Playing hide and seek with your spiritual abilities was not the game you came to play. There you go. That's what we're talking about today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Laura Mazzata. I am an Akashic therapist and a Reiki master teacher. And it is absolutely my mission to guide curious humans through their self-doubt, through their indecision, and stepping into their highest form of confidence, of power. I'm here with Darlene. She is coming on right now and she can introduce her fabulous self. Hey there, how are you, my friend? Hello from New
Good
York.
morning.
Hi, Darlene. How are you? Gorgeous. Ah,
Ah,
I literally just fell on my face. What's up, Daisy? How are you, honey?
I'm doing great.
Good, good, good. Okay, so let's chat. So, friends, Darlene, can you introduce yourself? Actually, I just introduced myself before you jumped on.
Sure, I'm Darlene Sochin, and I'm a Reiki master, and I work with assisting frequencies to help and support healers who are feeling the nudge to finally step into their path and out of their spiritual closet and help to support them, encourage them, and leverage any changes that need to be made to their present life into the life that they're here to live.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about this today because we see so much, people who are really hiding in the spiritual closet, right? And
Yeah.
knowing that they have abilities or desiring to expand them more, but feeling a little bit uncomfortable with either going public with that or having their own issues with belief in what it is that they're doing.
Right. Like that combination of not believing in themselves as well as what culture is going to say, what their friends are going to think and their families. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this is something that both of us have been through, right, Darlene? Like we've both been through that phase.
Yeah. And I was, I not, I don't know that I didn't have that fear about culture and what people would think, but definitely about my beliefs that I could actually do the work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was not forced into it, but after a cancer diagnosis, it led me into finding Reiki and becoming a Reiki practitioner, then a teacher. And that opened me up to that whole world of energy. And so that was beautiful. And it didn't matter to me what culture thought about it, because to me, Reiki energy, I just wanted to get it out into the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. Like for me it was kind of this like confusion because I was in my mental health box being a therapist
Yeah.
for years, but then like the results of the energy work spoke for themselves. And so for me it was I didn't totally get it yet when I started to share it because I just knew everybody needed it. Like I was like, the results are uncanny. Like they speak for themselves and they're phenomenal. And I want other people to feel the same way? And so I started sharing about it before I had fully cultivated it. And so I was still in the process of like developing my belief. And I want you guys to realize that that's okay. Like you don't have to be at this point of perfection around your belief in order to start sharing what you believe in, who you are, because what happens is as we open up these conversations with people, that feedback and exchange seriously serves us in terms of learning deeper and deeper truths about this energy.
And the gift is if you start talking about it, you're bringing these possibilities to people that had no awareness of what was available to them. That's the magic of it. So rather than assuming or perceiving that people will think, it doesn't make sense or it sounds too out of there, not mainstream enough, think about those whose eyes you'll open to changing their lives. That's really really important. So what's interesting is we both have, so yours is more about stepping out of the mental health box.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of people I work with who come for Reiki training, and they're they're in those shoes. They're the therapist, they're the teacher, they're the nurse, and they know they have these these healing gifts beyond what their career and the people in their career believe in. So what would your advice be to somebody like in the mental health field or the medical field, and they're wanting to come out of the out of the closet?
So one of the things that I would recommend is to definitely cultivate it within yourself first.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I also, this is what I did, and this is what I would recommend as well, which is like, okay, so I got attuned to Reiki 1. And then I just kind of observed, right? I was like, all right, how is it that people in my field are shifting because I'm attuned to this energy? And I could see little tweaks here and there. And then I was attuned to Reiki 2, and I could see the shifts in the people around me. I have like flyaways in the front of me. And then when I got attuned to the Akashic records, I saw an even bigger shift in the people around me. And so it was just like, it's allowing yourself to cultivate the energy that you're drawn to, and then witness and observe non-judgmentally how things are shifting around you, because that's your evidence that you're gathering, right?
Yeah.
You're gathering that evidence because this now it's not just results for yourself, but you
Mm.
witness it in other people, and you can feel it in the space between you. How you're interacting, how you're communicating, how much softer the relationship is, how much more intimate it becomes. And that's the other thing I noticed, is that the intimacy just kept growing. And diving into that intimacy with yourself and other people and with the universe is a beautiful way to start cultivating this vibration, so that as you collect more and more data, your humans are going to come more online with this and have a greater understanding of what's actually happening. And honestly, that comes with practice, and it comes with like
Yeah.
consistent attunement to it.
Right. That in first doing it internally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. And like bringing the soul self that knows all of this and embodying that. And yeah, it's a daily practice. So it's not just, a couple times a week or when the mood hits you. It's a daily practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's the thing. It's like we're so accustomed to, especially in the therapy world, as you need to know a certain amount before you do X, Y, and Z. Like you need to have a certain degree or have a certain license,
Yeah.
things. And those are, I mean, that's not just in the therapy world. It's in a lot of things that we have in our society, right? And so it's you also just being able to trust in your innate power and impact, and realizing that as you become more and more authentically yourself, the more and more that you have to be able to share and impart to other people in a way that honestly, it doesn't feel like work, and it doesn't feel hard, and it leaves you thinking less because you're just being.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially when you're working with others. It's this being and not constant, okay, what questions should I ask them? And, what am I wanting to create here for them? It just flows through you. Yeah.
Mm,
And so what's I found interesting is a lot of the fears why people stay in their spiritual closet, they seem to be similar across the board, which leads me to believe that so much of that is conditioning within the culture and programming. So what are your thoughts around that?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I really do, because why would we all have the same fears? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be a narrative that exists out there that even if we say, no, I learned that from my parents, or I learned that from my coach or something like that, where did they pick it up from though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that there's clearly a thread that's kind of running through the belief system collectively that we need to shift. So I know that you've done a lot of work with people on this as well. And what would you say are those primary belief systems that seem to be consistent across the board?
One of them, a big one that comes up, is fear of what will happen to them. Will they be safe stepping out of the closet? So will there be personal harm? Will there be, God punishing them? A lot of it, a lot of the people I've worked with, the experience has been around the religion that they've been taught, and their family, what their family has believed, and the belief system that they have. And we work around getting to not necessarily just clearing that out of the way, but getting to their heart. Okay, what's in your heart? What's your heart telling you? What keeps you up at night when you think about being this healer who's out there changing the world? So you start to lean more towards your passion and what brings you joy, what fills you up, what nourishes you. You talk a lot about that too. Make sure you're doing what nourishes you. And what I find is when you focus on nourishing yourself and listening to your heart, listening to your intuition, those old belief systems tend to fall away and dissipate.
Yeah.
If you're doing it, regularly and consistently. Journaling helps, and everyday meditating on this feeling. It's a lot about too. What is it that how is it you prefer to feel?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Really
yeah,
love that. And I love that you're bringing that up because that's how we hold on to it, is when we really immerse ourselves into it. Like I always say, if you're feeling imposterish, or if you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to bring this forward, the first thing is deepen your belief with God, deepen your belief with the universe,
yes.
deepen your connection, deepen the realization that you have of what you have to offer and the level of power that you carry by having this connection and really opening yourself as a vessel for the universe. Like that just means that you need to deepen that, because it's not about you. It's not about your fear. It's about opening yourself as in service and saying, I'll do whatever is needed to provide service for the collective and the highest good of all.
I have to tell you, so you did a video in your mastermind the other day, and those words, when you said it's not about you, it's this bigger purpose, I swear, like this weight was just lifted off of me. Like it's not my job to figure out the fears and to clear the fears and to work on the trauma for years and years. It's about tapping into what am I here to do? Does the universe need, or how can I contribute to this bigger vision? It's
Yeah.
not about me. And when you said that, my whole world shifted, like literally under my feet.
Talk about gratitude, right? And gratitude's great, like sinking into gratitude for like what I have already. And like when we do that, then the next thing will come. But it's also about that gratitude for the service that we provide, and the gratitude for the fact that we have this opportunity to be able to, bring through this information and this absolutely life-changing healing and wisdom for people. It's interesting because Lisa's saying the God part has been difficult for her. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I actually did a podcast episode. You can check it out on Spotify or Apple, the Akashic Musings podcast. I did a podcast episode on how to know if you have a trauma bond with God. And I would encourage you to listen to that, Lisa, because a lot of people have a trauma bond with God, because of conditioning, either through religious institutions or your family or society or what have you, or trauma that you've had in your own life where you've been pissed at God. That I was like that when I was a kid. I was pissed at God when my parents got divorced, and
Me
so
too.
yeah, it's like being able to be okay saying that, that you're allowed to get frustrated, but to not mean that you're going to throw that relationship in the garbage can, but to say, how do I cultivate it? Right? How do I express to God? You can be fully yourself with God and just say, like, dude, you're pissing me off. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here? And just have that authentic conversation.
Someone's saying down below too, we don't have to, we get to.
Yes.
That gave that gave me goosebumps. I want to cry. We get to. Yeah.
I change that daily. Thank you for bringing that forward, Praveen, because seriously, like I find myself on the regular. I'll be like, oh, I have to go do this. And then I immediately shift it. And I'm like, no, I get to do this.
Get to.
Even if I'm not upset about it. Like, I'm like, oh, I have to go record this module or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I get to go record this. Like, I do it almost daily. I use that shift because it's so much more empowering.
Yeah, it's that gratitude energy.
Yeah.
Yep, I get to. And it takes away the heaviness of responsibility and obligation as a healer, which some people feel, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other
Yeah.
beliefs would you say you've noticed have come forward that have been more across the board?
Across the board, that the healer having been killed in other lifetimes. So
Oh,
they have a physical fear of admitting that they have these gifts. So they hide them and hide them until they start causing physical illness because they're not addressing them. They're suppressing these abilities because of that fear. If people believe in past lives, the healer will often have lived a healer's life, at another time. And yes, we've experienced horrific treatment for
mhm.
being different and for wanting to change the world. Um, in the witch trials and everything else. And what I say to people when they bring that up is we have energies right now on the planet that have never been here before. So we have assisting frequencies available to us that weren't available in those other lifetimes. So I want people to understand that. We can feel, if you tune into it, you can feel it.
Mhm.
The vibration is very different. The planet herself is ascending. Her vibration is changing. And it's very different than when we lived those other lives and were persecuted for our being a healer.
And I thank you for sharing this, because what that brings me to, as we open up to receive more of this light, to receive more of these codes and this energy that's coming into the planet, what can happen is that now takes up space within our form.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that no longer serves us can come up to leave. And that can make us feel like, oh, wait, this is wrong. Oh, wait, this is not where I'm supposed to be going. I'm getting this message from my body or from my field that this is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case. It's simply that it's that fine line between listening to your intuition and allowing it to guide you where you're meant to go, and listening to your body and your symptoms and saying, okay, this is a time when I need to nurture and nurture
Yes.
myself so that I can assist my human with expanding with greater ease to these frequencies, and there's a fine line there. And it's really a lot of the more in tune you are with your unique energy, the easier that's going to be.
Right. So that's a sign that that physical feeling.
Yeah.
And make sure in those moments you do something to nourish yourself
Yeah.
and not feel selfish about it because if we if we look at the energy, not look at it as fear if your body's changing or you're being nudged to change something in your life because it's no longer serving you, that can be really scary. So
Yeah.
that's a sign, that's a message that you need to go deeper into yourself, nourish yourself, take time for rest and feeding yourself, asking your body what it desires.
Mm.
Yeah. So
I
changing that energy from fear to okay, body, what do you require right now? Yeah,
Yes.
change the
Yeah.
focus. Yeah.
Exactly, because really your system just needs some comfort and guidance and compassion to be able to continue to expand, because that's what we're doing. We're expanding, and it can feel like instead it's a message that something's wrong, but that's just your ego interpreting.
Yes. Right. It's, yeah, when someone is wanting to step out of the closet and then they have all these feelings and they feel like, oh, I can't, it's wrong. What's happening is you're being asked to change some things in your life. And that's a beautiful opportunity to look for resources. Maybe, what can help is Reiki healing, a walk through your Akashic records, right? Different modalities you can look into, whatever that can help to provide love and care for your nervous system.
Yeah, even just Mother Earth, honestly, she's available to
That
everybody.
too.
She's available to everybody, well, everything's available to everybody, but I mean, that's one that you don't have to
Perfect.
put your feet on the ground. You know what I mean?
Perfect. Yeah.
But in with the intention of receiving, and with the intention of allowing yourself to be held. Perveen is writing here. Can you share about light language? I just discovered people who speak it and have hidden the gift their whole life. Yeah. And light language is something that people definitely think is extremely strange. And it's so beautiful. I mean,
I love it.
I teach light language in my Akashic Record certification program. And it is so cool to me to see there's certain people who are just naturals at light language, and they had no idea. They hadn't even heard about it before. And they were like, well, here goes nothing. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, you know? And then they open their mouth and it's just brilliant, you know? And basically what it is, I think that's one of the most ultimate gestures of surrender. I mean, I believe that becoming a Reiki master teacher is one of those, but I also think that that really allowing spirit to create noise through
you.
body. And it's funny, I love chanting. That's one of my favorite modalities, if not my favorite. And I love that because it's also very empowering because we're generating vibration from within ourselves. But with light language, you're allowing a guide or a light being or spirit to generate energy and vibrations within your body. And you're basically like handing your body over a little bit to spirit, saying whatever you need to say.
It's complete surrender.
Yeah.
However, what I've heard people say, you know, they've experienced being able to do that, and it scares them because they're wondering who's coming through me. So what would you say to that?
I would say, who gives a shit? Like, who cares who's coming through? Like, we always want the freaking answers, right?
Yeah.
Like, our ego wants to know, who is this and what are they saying? You know, people don't have confidence in what they're bringing through. But once again, going back to the point you made earlier, Darlene, how do you feel when you bring through light language? And I know that when I bring it through or when I receive it, I feel so soothed, so loved, and so illuminated when I listen to light language. And so, or when I generate it. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I would encourage is like, don't focus so much on who's coming through. Sometimes you'll know, and sometimes you won't know. Oh. And the only person who truly knows the meaning of the light language you're bringing through is the person who's bringing it through. And sometimes they may not even know, or it's them much later. Like I have light language that I channeled 2 years ago, and I love it so much. And I still have no idea what it means, and I don't care because I adore how it makes me feel.
And that's the what I think is the purpose behind light language. It's an energy. So in most other galaxies, the language they use is energy, exchanging energy. So it doesn't have words like English words or French words that you can put to it. It's a feeling. So that's where I would say the number one, like to get rid of all of these fears about who's coming through and what would happen if I stepped out of the spiritual closet. It's about working on yourself first. So that you are personally aware of and have a relationship with you, with your body, your own feelings, so that when you're being asked to use your healing gifts or a light language is wanting to come through or a channel, you'll be familiar with the feeling of who that is. And you'll know right away, once you have developed that relationship with you and your own body and your soul, you'll know right away if it's something by the feeling it gives you. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that because it's true. Like language is a human concept. You know, and when you astral travel or you connect to these other planets or star systems, they communicate through frequency. They communicate through energy. Some of them communicate through behavior. Some communicate through color. Some, you know, so
like animals.
Exactly.
On our planet.
It's like we're limiting ourselves by saying, well, you know, I don't understand what this. Well, this because there aren't human words for it, right? So it's feeling into that. And I think that, Praveen, you bring up a really good point, because what I find is that people who are claircognizant or clairsentient. Claircognizant means that when you're tuning into you just all of a sudden just know something. You don't know why you know it. you just know something. My example is like when I drive when I was driving my daughter to preschool, and I had driven her so many times to preschool, but that one day I had a thought, she's going to get the flu today. And I was like, whatever, Laura, like that's just a fear. Doesn't mean anything. You've taken her here for 2 years and she's never gotten anything. Lo and behold, 48 hours later, she had the flu. And so it's having like a clear knowing. And clairsentience is just feeling into it. So I'll be having a conversation with you and all of a sudden my chest will start to hurt and I'll start having shortness of breath. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm feeling something that's coming into my field that I'm bringing up from yours. Those are the two intuitive abilities that people doubt themselves the absolute most because they don't have that language evidence, right? And the same thing happens with light language, right? It's like the further you're away from like the way we do things on earth and human language and all of that, the more you're going to doubt and question what's coming forward. And so that's going to be a practice of you, again, tuning in more frequently, gathering that data from your own field and other people's fields around you, and deepening your intimacy and connection with a higher power.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I
So,
love that.
are thoughts that you have that you want to leave people with here, Darlene?
Really, don't just say it, but dedicate time to yourself every single day. You can start with 5 minutes, because a lot of times I hear, I don't have a single minute. If you have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning or you find a few minutes at night, find a few minutes to dedicate to you and yourself, because again, this is the picture is bigger than just you.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling the call, if something's keeping you up at night and your abilities are inside of you, they're asking you to start exploring, and that begins with exploring an internal relationship with yourself.
Mm. And you use the word, I think you used the word, unless I made it up, devoted. But that's what I'm thinking.
Devote, yeah.
To just be so devoted. Like I say this all the time in my mastermind, right? Like be sincere about your level of devotion to yourself, to your higher power, to your higher self, because that's the energy that leaders come from. That's the energy that you need to embody to be able to be consistent about showing up authentically, right?
Right.
Is to say, like, I am sincerely devoted to my own vibration. I am sincerely devoted to sharing this with the world because it's that important. My mission is that important. My message is that important.
And your health, and
Yes.
being able to live and thrive. Because if you're spending a percentage of your time hiding something about yourself, you're suppressing, you're not going to live a full life and feel totally healthy and thrive in the bliss that we're meant to experience when we're here. So that's
Yeah.
really important too.
And I'm going to drop a little nugget for your human here too, people, just to help your human out a little bit, which is we are always so much better when we are heart-centered empaths and service-based humans. Always better at helping other people
Right.
than helping ourselves. So if you need to think of it this way as a little bridge or a little crutch until you get used to this, think about the fact that you are withholding authentic service and potent transformation from somebody who deeply needs it, specifically, uniquely from you in the way that you deliver it, because that's how they can best receive it when you keep your mouth shut. So
Absolutely.
drop that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And right, if you're thriving, everyone you're in your life is going to thrive along with you. Yep.
Yes, exactly. All right, beautiful friends. We love you. Thanks for joining us today on this happy little Thursday.
It's been wonderful. Thank you, Laura, for inviting me.
You're so welcome. We're going to do this again because we just love this. And I think it was Praveen that said we're a really good team. And thanks, Praveen, because I kind of agree. And I think we need to just keep doing this. Oh, and convicted. Yes, convicted is such a good word. I use that all the time. I love you too, Cassidy. Thanks for coming, Snuggles.
Hi, Cassidy.
All right, friends. So this will be saved on IGTV, so you guys can refer back to it anytime you need to. Please feel free to share it out if this is something that you feel drawn to sharing with other people. And have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And we will see you very soon. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.